There are not too many TV shows that make me uncomfortable. One TV show that has made me extremely uncomfortable on numerous occasions is Ozark. That show makes me uncomfortable non-stop. Now, there's one thing that I'm extremely grateful in particular so far in my watch through Ozark. And I'm going to spoil some stuff. So if you have not watched Ozark, at least through the first 2 seasons, and you plan on it, click off this video. If you just want to learn something, keep watching. So within this show, there is a preacher. And this preacher has a near-death experience in which he puts his faith in God when there is a robbery going on. I could be quoting some of this wrong, but this is the basic story. When there is a robbery going on, and he essentially ends up getting shot trying to stop the robber, but the gunman happens to shoot him where he had his pocket Bible in his chest, so he survives. And he saw this as a sign that God would protect him. He had faith that God would protect him. So then he ends up in some dangerous waters, messing with drug dealers and the sorts, and his wife urges him to stop. And he tries to tell her, God will protect us, we have faith, yada, yada, yada. He brings up his story of getting shot, and she brings up how she feels one freak coincidence that luck is just that. It's just luck in her eyes. It was not faith that saved him that day. Now, soon after this scene, this character dies. His wife, Grace, dies. It is almost immediately after in the show, the scene where him and his wife are having a conversation about faith, and she expresses her lack of faith in the protection from God, that her character dies. A little bit later in the show, the preacher goes through a very, very dramatic scene with one of our main characters, in which case he goes on about how he's lost everything. And one of his last lines, and I think it might have actually been his last line, is, "I've even lost my faith. You've taken everything from me," type of thing. One of his last words were, "My faith is gone," before he died. I've talked to people who've watched this show, and this isn't something that they tend to key on. Faith happens to be something really important to me. Not necessarily in any particular religious sense, but just from my own experiences with faith and trusting that the universe will take me. And I say universe, but I mean God. God will guide me where I go if I trust God to do so. If I trust God to provide shelter, as long as I continue to provide as much value in any given day as I can to my fellow human beings, I will be safe, I will be sound, I can take risks, I can adventure, all in His name. And so when I see this story take place within Ozark, and I see the writers key in on this, and happen to have this scene where you've got this devout preacher who simply believes that he is protected and is, in the moment him and his wife drop this faith in this very, very dangerous situation, they lose. The placebo effects goes so much further than any of us have thought.